The average American household breaks most of the 11 Japanese laundry rules every single week, and it is the reason your clothes never actually smell clean, and you don't even know about it. Most families break at least 6 of them without ever realizing those rules exist. The whole Japanese approach to laundry works on the idea that a smell has to be pulled out of the fabric rather than buried under a stronger one. Every rule in this video goes to the source of the odor instead of adding another layer of fragrance on top of it. The first rule I'm going to show you is the reason laundry can come out of your machine already, smelling wrong before it has even reached the dryer. Rule number 6 is the reason that one hoodie keeps smelling bad no matter how many times you wash it. And the last one is the rule that ties every other rule in this video together, and it is the one you are going to remember for the rest of your life. The first Japanese laundry rule Americans break happens in the hours after the wash cycle ends and before anyone actually takes the clothes out. In a Japanese household, laundry is treated as a same-day job, so the wash gets loaded, run, and hung within a short window of the cycle finishing. Whereas in most American homes, the load goes in at 9 at night, the family goes to bed, and that same load stays sealed in a warm, dark drum until 7 the following morning, which is a pattern almost everyone in the country runs on without thinking about it. Wet laundry has a smell for a reason, and the reason is a bacterium called Moraxella osloensis. It starts multiplying about 5 hours after the fibers get wet, so a load sealed inside a warm drum overnight is well past the point where the smell has bonded to the fabric, and once it has bonded, a normal warm wash cannot pull it back out. Every wash you run on that shirt afterwards is just cycling water through a smell that has already made itself at home in the cloth, and no cycle you own is strong enough to lift it out at that point. The solution is easy, and it does not cost anything. Never start a wash that you cannot hang inside of 5 hours, and if the only time you have to do laundry is late at night, save it for the morning instead. That one change alone will change how your base layers smell inside a week, and you do not need a new machine or a new detergent to see it happen. The next thing to look at is where that smell actually settles on the shirt itself, and it is not spread evenly across the fabric the way most people assume. It concentrates on the collar and the cuff, and that is where almost every laundry problem in your closet actually begins. Which brings us to the second rule, and it is about the collar of your shirt and the cuff of your sleeve. And it explains almost every yellowed white shirt sitting at the back of your closet right now. Japanese drugstores stock a whole aisle called Aerosode Yo, which is a collar and cuff pretreatment used before basically every wash, and it has been a routine step in Japanese laundry for generations. Nothing quite like it has ever caught on in an American laundry routine, and I promise the solution is coming in a minute, because it is easier than the aisle would suggest. Collar soil is really just sebum from your neck mixed with dead skin protein, and it oxidizes yellow the moment it hits the fabric, and none of it dissolves in water, so a normal wash cycle does not lift it out no matter what temperature you run. On top of that, your body produces a compound called 2-non-enol on the back of the neck, which the Japanese have named karishu, or aging odor, and it transfers straight into the collar of your shirt, sits there through the wash, and lands right back on your skin the next morning when you put the shirt on again. Go and look at the collar of your most worn white shirt right now, and hold it up to the light. There is a shirt in your closet you stopped wearing without ever deciding to, and the reason is that you washed the whole shirt for years and never once touched the 4 inches that actually needed it. The solution is to treat the collar and the cuff as their own separate little wash, which means rubbing an enzyme gel or plain dish soap into the fabric with your fingers, leaving it to sit for 5 minutes, and then running the shirt through a warm wash at around 40 degrees Celsius. Doing that on the shirts you actually wear will pull years of yellowing back out of the fibers, and the collars will stop building up that same layer again. All of that fabric work only matters if the machine washing it is actually clean itself. And that is the next rule, because the appliance you have been trusting to clean everything else in the house is very likely the dirtiest thing in your laundry room. Rule 3 has to do with the washing machine itself, and specifically with the parts of it you have never actually seen. Drum cleaner is sold in every American store too, and the difference is that in Japan it gets used on a monthly schedule as part of the normal laundry routine, and the lid of the machine gets left open between loads so the inside can dry out. Whereas in most American homes, the machine has been running for years without a dedicated cleaning cycle, and the door gets closed the moment the load comes out. And nobody was ever really told to do it any other way. The back of the drum, meaning the side of it you cannot see from the door, is coated in years of detergent scum and biofilm from every load you have ever run through the machine. Front loaders are worse in this regard because the rubber gasket around the door creates a permanently sealed wet pocket that never gets a chance to dry out between washes. Those little black flecks that sometimes show up on a dark shirt after a wash are actually pieces of biofilm breaking loose from the back of the drum, cycling through the water, and getting pressed straight back into the clothes you thought were clean. You have been washing your family's clothes inside something you have never washed. It is the one appliance in your house you assumed cleans itself because of the job it does for everything else. The solution is to run an oxygen bleach cycle through an empty drum tonight, and then repeat that same cycle once a month from now on. Leave the lid open between loads so the drum can actually breathe. And if you have a front loader, wipe the gasket down once a week with a dry cloth. The whole thing costs under $10. It takes almost no effort on your part, and the very next load you run through that machine will smell noticeably different when it comes out. There are hundreds more habits like these that Japanese families have used for generations to keep their homes fresh and clean. I have pulled all of them together into a book, and it is over at thejapanesemethod.com. Scan the QR code on the screen, or click the link in the description to get your copy and transform your house starting today. Now, the next rule is about the bottle in your laundry cupboard that most of the country is going to defend in the comments before I have even finished making the point. The fourth Japanese laundry rule Americans break is about fabric softener. Imabari and most of the other major Japanese towel makers print the words "do not use fabric softener" right on the label of every towel they sell. And even with all of that, about 70% of Japanese households still use it. So this is a live argument over there too, and not a lecture from me. Whereas in an American house, you have used it on almost everything you own since the day you bought your first bottle. Fabric softener is a cationic surfactant, which is a chemical that coats the fibers of your fabric in a thin water-repelling film. That film is the reason your towel feels soft, and it is also the reason your towel has stopped absorbing water, and the reason it holds onto sebum from your skin, and the reason bacteria have a permanent food source built into the fabric of everything you own. Japan even has a word for the wider fallout from heavily scented laundry products, which is kogai, meaning fragrance harm, and the National Consumer Agency ran testing on it in 2020 and found that heavy dosing of scented softener significantly raises the level of airborne organic compounds inside the home. You bought softness and paid for it in absorbency. A towel that does not soak up water is a decorative towel, and that is the trade you made without ever being told about it. The rule is to stop using fabric softener on any garment that touches your skin. So no softener on towels, no softener on activewear, and no softener on base layers. Sheets and outerwear are the compromise where it does no real harm, and the argument in the comments can happen there. That single change will bring the absorbency back to towels you already own, and it will stop the smell in your workout clothes at the source. The softener wrecked the towel, and now you need to look at how many times a week you have been pressing that same towel back into skin you just spent 10 minutes washing. The fifth rule takes us to the bath towel itself. In a Japanese bathroom, the towel is thin cotton, it gets used one time, and it gets hung spread wide so that the whole surface dries through in about 2 hours. Whereas in an American bathroom, it is thick terry, folded double on a hook in a room with no window, and reused somewhere between 6 and 10 times before it goes into the wash. Dermatologists and the American Cleaning Institute both converge on the same answer, which is every 3 uses at the most. And studies of microbial counts on used bathroom towels run into the hundreds of thousands within a single week. In a humid house, that number climbs faster, and the reality is that most households need to wash their towels 2 or 3 times a week. Ask your household how often they wash their towels. Everybody in that room thinks their own number is the normal one, and at least one of them is very wrong. The rule is 3 uses maximum, no softener on the towel itself, and a hot soak in oxygen bleach on any towel that has already started to smell. That combination will bring a stiff, sour towel back to life without you having to buy a new set, and it will keep new towels from ever getting to that state in the first place. The towel is at least an item you had a number for, even if the number was wrong, and now you have to look at the things in your house you have never had a number for at all. The sixth rule Americans break is about the things in your home that basically never get washed. In a Japanese household, the base layer gets washed after almost every wear, and the outer garment gets aired out on a hanger between uses. Whereas in an American household, you wash what looks visibly dirty and you almost never touch the things that get worn against your skin the most. Your pillowcase should be changed every 2 to 3 days because your skin transfers 2 non-enals straight into the fabric overnight and your face lies back down in it the night after. Your bra should be washed after 4 or 5 wears at the outside. Your jeans should get washed after about a week if you wear them often. Your hoodie tends to go until it is visibly dirty, which by then is far too late. Your coat collar and the lining of your jacket have very likely never been washed a single time since the day you bought that coat, and the same is almost certainly true of your duvet. The laundry basket itself, the plastic or fabric thing you throw your dirty clothes into, has never once been cleaned. Every one of the things I just listed sits directly against your skin, and every one of them gets washed less often than the things that do not. The rule is to change the pillowcase every 2 to 3 days as a permanent habit, wipe down coat collars with a damp cloth every week through the winter, and actually wash the laundry basket every few months with warm, soapy water. Those 3 changes alone will remove more skin oil from your daily environment than any new detergent ever could. Everything so far has been about what happens before the load runs, and now you have to look at the appliance that is supposed to finish the job for you and is doing the opposite of what you think it is doing. The 7th Japanese laundry rule Americans break is about the tumble dryer. In most Japanese homes, there is no dryer at all. Everything hangs to dry, including through the winter, including in dense city apartments. Whereas in an American house, the dryer runs on almost every load of the week and does so year-round without anyone questioning what it actually does to the fabric. A home dryer runs at somewhere around 60 degrees Celsius at the very top of its cycle, and Moraxella osloensis, the bacterium behind the smell, needs to be held at a sustained 60 degrees for 10 to 20 minutes before it actually dies, which basically never happens on a home cycle. Commercial gas dryers at a laundromat hit somewhere between 80 and 120 degrees Celsius, and that temperature difference is the reason a load out of a laundromat smells noticeably different from the same load out of your dryer at home. In the meantime, the heat of your home dryer is high enough to lock the odor compounds into the fiber that is still carrying them. Your dryer runs just below the temperature that would actually kill the bacteria and well above the temperature that bakes it into the fabric for good. You have been setting the smell into the fibers rather than lifting it out. The rule is to sun dry the towels and the base layers where you can, because ultraviolet light from the sun is a genuine antibacterial and it works for free. If a load has already started to smell, run an oxygen bleach soak before the wash and skip the second tumble in the dryer, because that will just seal the odor and harder than it already was. I am not going to tell you to give up your dryer in Ohio in February, and you can pick the loads that actually matter and give those loads a fighting chance. The dryer is the American answer to a wet load, and now you have to look at the Japanese answer. And this is the rule most people watching are going to want to argue about, so hear me out before you decide. The 8th Japanese laundry rule Americans break is about the water your machine actually washes with. In a Japanese laundry room, the washing machine has no built-in heater, so it draws cold water from the tap, and to solve that, the household pumps the still warm bath water from that evening's bath into the wash cycle at around 40 degrees Celsius. Whereas in an American house, you have hot water available on tap and you deliberately choose to wash cold because someone somewhere told you it was better for your clothes. Before anyone leaves an angry comment, a Japanese bath works differently from an American one because people scrub, soap, and rinse themselves completely clean at a stool next to the tub before they ever get into the water, so the water in the tub stays basically clean the whole time. That water is used for the wash cycle only, and it is same day water, meaning the same evening the family bathed in it. It is a genuinely different situation from what your brain is picturing right now. The enzymes in modern detergent are the part of the formula that actually breaks down the biological material on your clothes, and those enzymes activate at around 40 degrees Celsius, so in cold water they do almost nothing at all. You have been paying for enzymes for years on every bottle you have bought, and you have never once switched them on. A country washing its laundry in used bath water is getting cleaner clothes than you are, so the temperature of your water was the real problem all along. The rule is to wash anything that touches your skin at warm, or at 40 degrees on the dial. You do not have to source bath water to do it, and your hot tap does the same job in less than a minute of adjustment. Warm water reaches everything it can touch, and now you have to look at why yours has never actually reached half of what is inside the drum. The 9th Japanese laundry rule Americans break is about how much laundry you put in the machine. In Japan, the standard number is 70 to 80% of the drum capacity, and it is taught as a rule and not a guideline. Whereas in an American house, you fill the machine to the door because you want the load done in one go. Clothes get clean because they rub against each other inside the drum, and the detergent alone does not do the job on its own. A packed drum cannot tumble, so nothing moves, and the water never actually reaches the middle of the load. On top of that, an overloaded wash comes out significantly wetter than a properly loaded one, which puts you straight back on the 5-hour clock from the first rule of this video. You have been running a wash that physically cannot move, so the middle of that load stayed damp for the entire cycle. And damp is exactly where we started this video. The rule is to leave a hand's width of air at the top of the drum. That single change gives the load room to tumble, lets the water get through the fabric, and cuts the drying time by a real margin. The load will not take longer overall, because the wetter loads you have been running were adding drying time you never actually measured. The load has room in it now, and next you have to look at how much detergent you have been pouring in, because it is a fraction of what you think. The 10th Japanese laundry rule Americans break is about the amount of detergent you use and the number of rinses you run. Japanese detergent caps are precisely marked, the dose is respected as an exact measurement, and a second rinse is standard on almost every load. Whereas in an American house, you free pour from the bottle by eye and you run a single rinse without ever thinking about it. Undissolved detergent that stays in the fabric is residue. And residue on your clothes is food for the same bacteria that make everything smell in the first place. So every extra capful of detergent you have poured in over the years has actually made the load dirtier at the end of the cycle. Every extra capful you poured in for the last 10 years was you trying harder and getting a worse result. The rule is to measure the dose against what the label actually says and to run a second rinse on anything that touches your skin. Those two changes cost nothing, and they will pull years of residue out of the fabric of clothes you already own. The load is clean now, the machine is clean, and the water is right. And all of that gets undone in the last 20 minutes on the drying rack if you get the last step wrong. The 11th Japanese laundry rule Americans break is about how you hang your clothes on the drying rack. In Japan, there are actual named formations for hanging laundry, and research done by Lion, one of the major Japanese consumer goods companies, found that a formation called the arch, which puts the longest garments on the outside of the rack and the shortest garments in the middle, dries a load about 30 minutes faster than a random arrangement, because it opens a downdraft of air underneath the whole rack. The minimum gap between two items is 1 fist width. In an American house, you cram the rack full and hope for the best. 30 minutes is the exact margin on the 5-hour clock from the very first rule of this video, which means the shape of your drying rack is actually the difference between a load that beats the timer and a load that becomes rule 1 all over again. There is a correct shape to a drying rack. You have owned a drying rack for 20 years, and nobody has ever told you it had a shape. The rule is to hang the load in an arch, with the longest items on the outside and the shortest in the middle. Keep a fist width of air between every garment and point a fan underneath the whole rack if you have one. That single change is free, it takes no extra time, and it will finish the job you have been doing 3/4 of for years. 11 rules down, and there is one more that sits above all of them. Japan has a word for the smell that shows up on clothes that never quite dried in time, and they call it namagawaki shu. Because they had a word for it, somebody built a product to kill it. Heiabashi, indoor drying detergent, sitting on the shelf of every drugstore in the country. There is no word for it in English, so you have smelled this exact thing your whole life without ever having a name to give it, and because nobody named it, nobody built the product, and nobody ever fixed the problem. Japan named it, and then Japan solved it, and that is the whole difference. You did not fail at this. Nobody ever told you the rules. Laundry smell is 11 fixable things, and now you know all of them. Thanks for watching, and let me know your thoughts in the comments. Which one of these will you try first? And click the video appearing on your screen right now for more. I think you'll like it.